I love great conversations. Hi, my name is Angel Jones. Thank you for joining me on 12-minute convos where I help you create a brand of your own unique, real self. Listen in as I have conversations with amazing people from all over the world. Good day, Susan Ritchie. How are you doing on this wonderful, beautiful morning?
I'm very well, thank you, Angel, and what a pleasure to speak to you today.
Yeah, definitely. Great pleasure to connect with you. What part of the world are you in right now?
I'm here in the UK. I live in the middle of the UK, in a place called Lincoln, a small city. And it's a really special day today because we've got the first day of our Christmas market here. So hundreds of thousands of people will descend on the city. And there's lots of stalls and lots of festive spirit today. So it's, a very nice place to be.
Interesting. Well, I'm glad to share this day with you and have a 12-minute conversation. Please do tell us which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this time.
I think it's my ability to build a network. One thing I'm very good at, and I've been able to do this for years, is build rapport and connect and engage with people. And I moved back to the UK in 2010 after living and working overseas. And when I moved back, I knew that I wanted to start up my own business. And I was faced with the challenge of having to do that in a city where I didn't know anybody. And I was also changing sectors. So I moved from being a teacher, which I'd done for 20 years, into running a coaching and training business. So I had to build a network pretty fast and build relationships with people. So I threw myself into the formal networking scene here in Lincoln. And over the last 7 years, I've built up not only a professional network, online and offline, but I've also made friends. And I think it's that ability to build rapport with people, to engage with people, or just I'm nice, and I think the world needs a lot more nice people. There's a lot of discord out there. There's a lot of unpleasantness in the world, and I think people ought to, think about other people a little more than themselves and take time to, really connect with the person in front of them and build relationships. Angel, I think that's what it's about, and I think that's what's done it for me. And I've now got a really strong professional circle of people. But out of that, I've made some fantastic friendships as well, which is what it's all about, really, isn't it? I think it's the quality of relationships that we have with people.
Most definitely. Quality versus quantity.
Yes.
Always a negotiation, isn't it? So where did you learn that skill from, that skill of building relationships?
I think it's a skill I've built up all my adult life. I spent 20 years as a primary school teacher, so my days were spent around very young children. I trained as an infant school teacher, so I began out by teaching 4 and 5-year-olds. And when you're dealing with people that young, you've got to be a certain type of person. So you've got to be very warm, you've got to be very engaging. And then as the years went by, I kind of moved up the age groups a little bit. So I moved into sort of 7, 8-year-olds. And my last teaching job was in a class in Belize in Central America. And I had a class of 12 children whose ages range from 7 to 11. And so that was quite a challenge. But the common theme through all of that was this need to show up as a certain type of person in the classroom. And that had to be warm and engaging, but also with a edge of authority as well. And I think it's a skill that I've been able to develop over those years. I started teaching in my mid-20s, and it's a skill I've developed over those years, and I'm my early 50s.
Wow.
That stood me in really good stead.
That's amazing. Wow. I get to see bio pictures and then compare ages. That's pretty fascinating. The pictures do not match up. They do not match up at all.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. So you've been doing this for quite a bit. Why will you continue to repeat this skill, Susan?
Because it's a winning formula. I think whatever you do in life, there's very little that you do that doesn't rely on you having to have great relationships with other people. And this is something I tell my clients, even when relationships go wrong at work, which, let's face it, sometimes they do, the fact is you've got to have a relationship with your boss, with your co-worker, and it's got to be the best you can make it. And the responsibility for that is down to us. It's down to ourselves. We can't wait for other people to change or to put things right or make things better. And I'm a great believer in personal responsibility and being proactive about things. And the way that you show up in the world affects not only yourself, but it affects everybody around you and affects your experience. And I think showing up in an engaging and warm way that puts relationships at the heart of everything is a skill that has served me well and will continue to serve me well. And part of what I do, Angel, is teach other people to do that as well, to show up as a warm and engaging person, but also with that air and edge of authority that they need for professional success. So it's a winner in my book.
Love it. Now, how and where is the best place for someone to connect with you, Susan?
I have my website, which is at susanritchie.co.uk, and that's Ritchie with a T, Ritchie. And I'm also on Twitter. I like Twitter a lot, so they're the easiest places to find me these days.
Now tell me one other thing that you've done consistently over the last 3 years, please.
Over the last 3 years consistently, I have supported my son. It's another special day because it's my son's 24th birthday, and he's currently backpacking around South America.
Wow.
And he's having the most fantastic time. I think they're in, where are they? I think they're still in Peru. They're in Peru at the moment, and then they're moving on to Ecuador, I think, at the weekend or next week. And I think one of the things I've done consistently over the last 3 years, since he's been into the world of work, he left university and then began working, is provide a role model for him. And I've shown him that life's not about just getting a standard 9-to-5 job, getting on that treadmill, that there is another way of doing things, that there's a big wide world out there to be explored. And he's taken that on board. I mean, when he was 9, and we're going back some years now, obviously, I moved to the island of Borneo with him when I was a single mum with him on my own. And I gave up my teaching job, sold my car, and took us on the biggest adventure of our lives. And that adventurous spirit has continued even since we've got back here to the UK. And he's seen that in me, and he has developed that adventurous spirit himself, particularly over the last 3 years when he has been working himself, and he's saved up and then taken himself off with his girlfriend, and they're currently traveling. So
how amazing is that, right? From leading with impact and now leading with backpack.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's amazing. What's your son's name?
My son's name's Josh.
Hey Josh, all the best to you.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. How does it make you feel to see the fruit of you definitely carry what you've led with?
Oh, tremendously proud of him. Yeah, and he said to me a few years ago, he said, I couldn't have wished for a better role model, Mum. And that really touched me, because as parents, I don't know if you're a parent yourself, Angel, but as parents, there are times when you do doubt yourself and you think, have I done this right? Am I doing this right? What are they learning from me? I believe that your parents are your first and most influential impact and influence on your life. And there's a tremendous pressure as a parent to get it right and to be perfect, but it's a really tough job, and we all make mistakes. And I meet some people who beat themselves up about those mistakes for many years. So for my son to turn around and say, actually, Mum, you've done all right, was fantastic.
That's good. Well, amazing audience, you're hearing it live here from Susan Ritchie. Again, you can connect with her by going to www.susanritchie, again with a T, ritchie.co.uk. Susan, let's switch gears for a moment now and let me invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Susan, what is your earliest childhood memory?
My earliest childhood memory is a bit of a strange one. In the UK, we used to have things called ice cream vans. And this was a van that used to travel around the streets with a musical chime, and they would sell you ice creams. And I have a memory of that. And I can hear the chime in my head turning up on the corner of our street, and my brother asking to go and buy an ice cream, and all of us going down to the corner and buying an ice cream. You don't see many of those anymore these days.
How old were you in this memory?
Oh gosh, I probably would have been about 8 or 9, I suppose. Yeah, around about that age.
Right. Why do you think this memory is so clear?
I don't know. I've been thinking about this because it's the one thing that popped into my head yesterday when I was, and I honestly don't know. I don't remember huge amounts of detail from my childhood, but that is one thing that does stick out, and yeah, that stumped me.
All right. How do you see that memory connecting to who you are today?
Oh, how do I see that connecting to who I am today? I think it's about joy and it's about happiness, and they are two things I really strive to have at the forefront of my mind on a daily basis, and to do things that make me happy and that I really enjoy in my personal life, but also in my professional life as well. I think it's a shame if you go through life tolerating what you have to get up and do for a living every day, and it's okay. And I hope that I am filling my life with things that are more than okay. And I hope that's what I do for my clients and people that I work with, that I make their working lives a bit more than okay, and that actually they end up doing something they really love.
Do you love ice cream?
Do you know I do? I love it. I do.
Right.
I try not to eat too much of it, but yes, I do. Nice chocolate ice cream is delicious.
Well, can I offer an interpretation to the thought picture you created in my mind?
Okay.
I love the idea of your brother hearing a sound that went with something that he connected to, that he needed to follow, to be able to get the thing that brought him joy, and to see that you saw the mind map and still do to this day of what that looked like, what that leadership looked like, to see now that you've done that by selling your car, to let your son see what that type of leadership looked like, to now see your son backpacking to show what that leadership looks like, is fascinating how it connects.
It is, isn't it? That's a very clever way of looking at it. Thank you.
You're welcome. If we fast forwarded to when you were 12, what was your favorite song?
It would have been a song by ABBA. I loved ABBA, and I used to sort of pop a record on and dance around the room to it. So something like Mamma Mia would have been fantastic.
Well, definitely Mamma Mia did show us the way, didn't she? Love it. Well, Susan, we've arrived at our destination, but before we get off of this time machine, there is a small declaration form. So it's yes or no, possibly a bit more. We're going to move pretty quickly here. Are you ready, Susan?
Yes,
Susan,
I am.
Susan, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
Yes, my son.
Are you married?
Yes.
Do you have children?
One son, one stepson.
Do you believe in God?
Something more spiritual and bigger than myself. Not sure if it's God.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Yes, small amount of very close friends.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
No.
How about 3 hours a week?
Yes.
What about screen time, the phone and or the computer? Is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
Probably less than 8 hours.
All right. If you, Susan, had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents Susan Ritchie, what would you say that is?
To be a leader, you need to show up as a leader.
Love it. Even when it means going to get the ice cream on the chimes of a sound. I love it. Susan, this has been a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
I would just like to say, everybody you meet today, be kind. The world needs a little more kindness.
Love it. Susan Ritchie, thank you for being on What is Inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Thank you.
Thank you for being on 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Stay tuned for more from our advertisers.
Diabetes is a mountain pandemic. It's a disease that's not acute but chronic. Similar to this rhyming method, I have simplified the definition, the signs and symptoms, and the complications of diabetes for both adults and children in my books, Poems for Patients, A Focus on Diabetes, and The ABCs of Diabetes for Children. These books are available on Amazon.com, and for more information, you can visit my website, poemsbyaj.com. That's poemsbyaj.com.